the kitty's name?
It's Abraxas. You guys couldn't see him. I was like, he needs to be
Oh,
in the video.
I know. What a cute
But
baby.
now he's gonna run away because he's scared.
Oh no,
I
don't run
moved
away,
him.
kitty.
Hey, kitty.
So cute.
He's
We
very
are live
precious.
on Twitch. We'll just wait for some people to come in. Let me refresh my page. Are we live? Hold on.
There's your dog behind you.
Oh, Luna. Yep, we got
Hey,
Luna.
Luna. There's my fat cat over there.
She came running in because I was like, oh my God. And she's like, what are we talking about? So yeah, we have Luna. I also have a corgi somewhere. Oh, he's underneath me.
We should talk about familiars one of these days.
Yeah. Ooh, let me post in the Discord that we are live.
Okay. There we go. That's a little better.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for anyone trickling in, how's it going? How's the week treating you all? Zara, Lana, what are your guys' updates? What have you been up to this week so far?
You first. You
Yeah.
first,
Oh,
Sarah.
me first? Okay.
Yeah.
So I have been preparing it's called the Radiant Soul series, and it's a series of 3 free master classes.
Oh.
So I'm been preparing like the funnels and the opt-in pages and the advertisement and the curriculum. And we're going to be working, the first day is going to be empowered empath, the empath empowerment. So 3 days of just looking at being an empath and how to flip it from being like the victim of all of the energies around us to being really empowered to transmit and shift those energies and shift the energies within us. That's the first one. And the second one is a soul embodiment, where I'm going to be taking people through the process of more fully bringing more of their soul, more of their spirit into the physical. Because I'm sort of the, based on my own experience, I'm of the opinion that our soul is not actually in our body, but our physical body is in our soul. And so as we do more spiritual practices, we can bring more of that soul energy into our physical body, into our emotional body, into our mental body. So that's the second one. And then the third one is divine gifts and purpose. So just activating the divine gifts and purpose. And it's all going to roll into the Awakening Your Light Body course, which is starting in October, which is a full 12 years of practice and discovery on your really full power as a creator.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sounds
I'm excited.
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. A lot of work.
I'll be right back. You guys
A
keep
lot of work
talking.
right now. Yeah, what have
Yeah,
you been
for
up
real.
to?
Oh my goodness. What have I been up to? Did some jet skiing.
Nice. I've been doing some of that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband and I went and visited some friends down in the Central Valley area of California, and we just lounged and got fed and did a lot of talking and hanging out on the water. And so that was very fun and relaxing and exhausting all at the same time.
Yeah. Traveling often is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I did this doodle I want to show you guys. I was like, I have this sketchbook and I have these markers. Let me just doodle while I was playing cards. And it turned into like a 4-day doodle.
Oh. Whoa.
But yeah, I know. I was like, I'm going to do more of these. But like, look, there's a little octopus in it.
Yeah.
Wow,
That's intense.
that is intense.
There's another octopus. Where's the other? Oh, there's a bird. There's a couple of birds. And then there's another
Recording in progress.
octopus.
We remembered much sooner this time.
Where is it?
That is fantastic. Holy
Isn't that
crap.
cool?
That's pretty cool.
I'm trying to find the other octopus for you. Where is it?
I can see the tentacles.
Yeah, where's the octopus? Oh, here. There it is. There. There, you see it? It's got like a mouth open. It's hard to do. There. Eyeball, eyeball, eyeball.
I mean, I could see a lot of tentacles. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and some eyeballs. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it just started out as just moving shit around, and then it took on form. I'm like, this is cool. I'm gonna do more of these.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
and me just getting our screen set up. Okay, we're good. Yeah, that is pretty intense.
a
That's
4-day doodle.
4 days, dang. I
4-day
have
doodle.
like coloring books that look like that, and then I
Yeah.
just color them in. But I
Yeah.
don't think I could draw anything that intricate.
It wasn't like that though. I mean, it was literally just drawing lines and then coloring it in,
That's pretty cool, though.
and it just formed its own. I didn't have any intention of creating octopuses. They were there, and I was like, oh, there's an octopus. Let me just color around it. Yeah,
Oh my goodness. I like,
fun.
Lana, I like that the kitties still decided to hang out.
Yeah, he did not run away after
I'm
all.
so glad. Oh. Well, we can probably get started as my dogs decide that it's playtime right now, so you might hear some rumbling in the back. But welcome to Cosmic Coffee Chats, episode 3. Our topic today is aliens, and that's the topic. Nothing further. That's just the topic. So let's see where this goes.
What are we gonna talk about?
Well,
Lana, you got
so
something?
I do.
Good.
So when I was a kid, I loved Star Trek. Like I was, so I remember being in first grade, and I would pull. We had this like really light table, and I don't really remember. I think it was our dining room table, but it might have been just like a snack table. I don't really remember honestly, but I do remember that I would pull this table out into the living room, and I would put a sheet over it, and I would like tape a little piece of paper onto my shirt right here, and I would tape little pieces of paper inside the sheet, and I would play Star Trek.
That's adorable.
Like it was like it was literally I don't remember really playing anything else but Star Trek.
Like imaginary Star Trek. You were on board the ship. Yeah.
And I would do that during like it was the original Star Trek. So I'd watch it and I would play Star Trek at the same time. Yeah. And then when I was older, when I was like I remember being, I think this was like in 4th grade. I remember this very particular, oh no, it had to have been 6th grade because it was after our house burned down and we rebuilt. I was in 6th grade and or 7th, maybe 6th. And my friend called me on the phone, and it wasn't 4 p.m. yet because Star Trek was from 3 to 4. So it must have been junior high. And my friend called me on the phone, and I flipped out. I'm like, don't you know what time it is?
How dare
Like,
you interrupt my Star Trek time?
So funny.
I didn't. That was Star Trek: The Next Generation. And so I just know that from a very young age, I 100% fully had no doubt. There was no doubt in my mind that aliens were very real. And
Yeah.
for me, shows like Star Trek, and I remember Earth 2 being one of my favorite shows as well, even though that was very short-lived.
I never saw that one.
It was
Earth 2.
no, it was like
Earth 2?
Never
soap
even heard of
opera,
it.
space soap opera.
No. Space soap opera. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That
and
is-
so yeah, aliens. I mean, there's never been a time when I thought that they weren't here interacting with us in some way, and that they weren't, fully like existing throughout the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess one of my questions is, like, how do you define an alien? Like, what is an alien to you?
I guess and every being intelligent, well, intelligent or otherwise, really, every being that's not an Earth being.
That's a good assessment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I I now that you've spoken, I definitely have some topics that came up. When I was a kid, I was into Star Trek too, but we had this beautiful camp up on Sacandaga Lake in New York. When I was a kid, all my cousins would come. We would come on the weekends and we would do bonfires down on the beach, and we would just lay there on the beach and look up at the stars. And I remember seeing, so I was born in like the like 74. So it had to have been between 74 and 84, right? So I was like 10 years old, maybe 13. I think I was 10 or 13, maybe max. But we were looking up and there was these lights. Every once in a while, I would see this light flying across the sky, like really far up there, like a pinpoint prick of light. And it would, like, if there was a star here, this this light would come to the star and go like this around the star and then carry on. It would just do like really, it wasn't a satellite. It wasn't, I don't know what it was, but I was convinced at the time that it was a UFO, and I still am, to be honest. But yeah, it was doing really weird stuff up there around the stars that were up there. So it was a strange, strange sighting.
Yeah.
I've heard people down in the Catskills around Woodstock area, there's a spot where you can watch, and I haven't gone there yet, but that you can watch the night sky and see those kinds of things up there from that vantage point. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of places like that, like in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Terrence McKenna. Do you guys know who Terrence McKenna is?
Mm-mm.
Lana does. Terrence McKenna is this like mushroom guru. Okay, so like Timothy Leary was like LSD, Terrence McKenna was mushrooms, and you can watch all of his stuff on YouTube at this point. He's a lot of fun. In all honesty, like I have like the biggest ghost crush on him. He's dead, but I'm like in
Oh, I was
love
gonna
with
say
him.
ghost crush. All
I
right.
am in love with this man. And never met him. He was dead before I even knew about existence, but I was like, he's such a nerd and such a brainiac. I just freaking love him and the big words that he uses. But he talks about seeing a UFO. And I think it was down in actually I think it was in Mexico, where he's on this mountain and he sees this UFO kind of just materialize in front of him and then dematerialize. And so like he puts out this question like, is it always there? And is it just showing itself to me? Like what was that kind of an experience? So I've also a boyfriend of mine saw one in the Kingston area. He saw this big black um rectangular ship hovering above the cars in the traffic jam, and he was trying to get people's attention to look up and they were like thinking he was crazy because they didn't see anything, but he saw this big black ship. So I don't know what that means either, but it's interesting. I like the stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that they are literally all around us, all the time.
But they're cloaking devices.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that there are many that are here with us in higher dimensions. There are many that are here with us with various abilities to cloak. There are many hiding in various ways that we don't quite have the science for understanding at this point. But, you know, part of my really part of my whole belief system actually involves a lot of aliens doing a lot of things on
Yeah?
Earth and with Earth. Yeah.
I went down that wormhole in my 20s. David Icke I believe it was, talking about how the governments are all run by the sort of reptilian race. And I went down like a really deep, like fearful place and getting all the information about it.
That sounds
And
like a
then what I
Doctor Who episode.
yeah, I mean it's
recently.
dark. Those alien conspiracy theories are pretty dark and they seem very real. It makes a lot of sense to me. But what ultimately came of it for me was, well, I had to stop watching it. I had to stop looking at it because it got me into such a state of fear and paranoia that I was like, well, if it is true, there's nothing I can do about it at all from my little place in the universe. And so I really can't be bothered to kill my vibe around it. Yeah. And that's a lot of the advice that I give to people that are really like going into those deep wormholes of fear and paranoia is like, it may be existing, but you can't do anything about it from where you're at. And you certainly can't do anything about it from that place of fear and paranoia. So if it's not serving you, pull your energy out of it.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. I do think that the truth will set us free. However,
Mhm.
True.
however, um, the forces of darkness, as I call them, do want us to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I believe that there are just some people don't have to know all the things all the time.
Right.
Like it's not actually serving the highest good. It's not serving us as humans. I feel I very strongly and I believe that there will become a time when there's like a reckoning and like a laying down of all the truths. What do they call that? Disclosure.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people talk about disclosure, they are specifically talking about aliens. But I believe that there's going to be a disclosure that's like a very multi-layered disclosure that's like basically all the things.
Yeah.
And so like, again, like how much do people need to know right now about the alien run human trafficking? I don't know.
What are
I
you
don't
gonna do?
know.
Yeah.
Protect your
Yeah.
children? Like, you know.
Yeah.
But people should already be doing that, whether or not they're protecting them from aliens or, the neighbor or the guy down the street, uh, you know.
Yeah.
I do
Have you
believe.
guys met any abductees?
Mm,
I have not. I mean, I've heard stories, just from people. And it's always been interesting because they're like very similar. But I don't
Mhm.
think I've personally come across someone who believed they were abducted. What about you?
I have met two. I have met two people. One of them came to me as a client. Um, and she told me all kinds of stuff, and it was very similar to the other person that shared his story with me about this sort of like mesmerizing that they can do, like with like sort of like a hypnotizing mesmerizing. But she had this story of where she was like woken up. She had all kinds of stories, but she had this one story where she was woken up in the middle of the night. She really needed money. She was like, asking, praying for money. And she was woken up in the middle of the night and she could see this like map of directions in her mind. And so she was following the map as she was driving in her mind. And it took her to this abandoned building. And when she got to the abandoned building, the map took her through the building up to this room way up on top and it took her to this box where there was like $10,000 that had just been left there in this building.
Oh my goodness.
So that was interesting. Yeah, that was an interesting story.
Wait, time out.
Yeah.
So this lady had a map in her mind. So she had been abducted? Is this what it was this? I'm so confused.
She was telling stories. She was telling me all kinds of stories, but that was the interesting one, like the sort of like physical one. But she was telling me all kinds of stories about being abducted and about um different people on Earth, like different humans on Earth that are sort of like under the mind control or maybe even consciously working with these entities to arrange transportation for the abductees. And so she told stories about being abducted, and for the most part, she didn't have any like negative experiences with it. And I think if you've read any of like Dolores Cannon's work, like when you read the Dolores Cannon's work, you discover that a lot of the abductee experiences, when they go into like a hypnosis state and they uncover it, they discover that they're actually being helped by the aliens. Like they're actually being like given technologies and implants and health related support for their life. So she felt the client that came to me, she did feel like it was for the most part benevolent, but she felt a bit out of control of her own life because there was this like kind of force that was taking over her body and her mind. The guy that told me the same similar story shared about that kind of stuff too, about this kind of like mind control hypnosis kind of stuff. Not to put fear out there in the world, I don't like to do that, but yeah, I had like a good 6 months to 8 months of this information coming to me and me going like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah.
So you were collecting these stories at the time?
Yeah, they were just coming to me. They were coming to me. It was it was an intense little period of my life. I was learning about like psychic attacks at the same time, like psychic attacks and shamanic, that kind of stuff. And I had a person that was very close to me committed suicide, and in discovering it was like all psychic attacks, and like the mental illness that he was experiencing was a form of psychic attack. And when you uncover it, when you go deeper, it's like there's like a karmic connection to past life stuff where he was in conscious creation with this dark work, as a wizard or as a practitioner. But yeah, so that was going on. And then I got all these alien people coming to me, telling me all kinds of crazy stories. And I was
These dang alien people.
I was in like a place of like, what the fuck is going on? What am I supposed to believe about reality?
Yeah, I mean, it's all almost very Lovecraftian. I mean, like I hear all these stories and I'm just like, I feel like I'm in an H.P. Lovecraft novel, maybe minus some of the horror, but this idea that because I'll be the boring one here and say that I've never actually believed in the concept of aliens. I've never I don't know what the right phrase is, disbelief. I never didn't think disbelieved. Yeah, we'll go with disbelieved, I guess. But I don't know. It wasn't something that I was always like, oh yeah, there's definitely aliens out there. And I used to live in Vegas where, like Area 51 was not that far away. So it was, one of those areas where everyone's like, they're definitely storing aliens at Area 51. But after a while, I was just like, if I'm going to believe in ghosts and paranormal entities, like I almost kind of have to believe that there's something else out there. To me, it's almost kind of wild to claim that we are the only things in the universe in existence. And
it's mathematically impossible.
It is. And
yeah.
I do.
She's very committed.
I know. But it's like, this is why I brought up Lovecraft, because when I read Lovecraft, it's this idea that there are these, like old gods out there, if you will, who live in different planets, different dimensions, not of Earth, but they're living things, which I think is like the main difference between what I would consider like an alien versus like a spirit or a ghost to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, this idea that I do think there's something out there. It probably is more advanced than we are. And I think that's where a lot of these like alien abduction stories come in, where people feel like they're being tested on. The mind control one is really interesting. I haven't heard about that one a lot, but it's, I don't know. It's just interesting to hear people's accounts of it, and things like UFO sightings and just things that like we can't explain but that we can see in the physical. Mamba said, when are we going to get a clear picture of USOs? With each year we have higher resolution cameras, but we can't get one good picture. I mean, I feel like we usually see them at night, and if you're on your phone and you're trying to like catch something like shooting across in the sky, it might be a little difficult, but
Plus they hide as clouds and like in clouds, looking
yeah.
like clouds. I mean, they're just the ones that are hanging out here, hiding, floating around. They just have technology. They can do things.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lana, what do you think they're doing? Hiding out and hanging
Well,
around.
I mean, this is a like a 2,000-page epic. If you really want me to get into it, but
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Page 1.
Paige, yeah, just give us a couple examples. What do you think?
Okay.
What do you think they're doing?
Well, page 1 is 500,000 years ago.
Page 1.
When human beings were in their whatever round of creation, and the various, I mean, okay, so I believe that there are 12 stargates on planet Earth, and each of these 12
Ooh.
stargates connects to a different star system. And so as the human body and like human bioenergetically spiritual system, so the human being for Earth specifically, because there's human beings all over the universe, I believe. But there's the ones made for Earth were very specific design, and so we have access to 12 dimensions simultaneously, which is does not happen anywhere else in the universe. And so we're this like rare, beautiful creature. So when we were being designed, there were 12 different stargates, 12 different tribes. So like the 12 tribes of Israel. And each of these 12 different stargates, they gave certain things to their tribe. And so that there's never not been aliens from day one, in my opinion, that they have been part of every single thing from the conception, from the idea of the conception to the now. So even like separating what we think of as aliens from humanity and the earth and our evolution and our existence is just from where my belief system and what the research I've done and all the information I've gathered, and then the knowing I've kind of like created or relied on. It's just, it's all, they're here, they're with us, they've been with us, they're not separate, And so with that being said, now we are 500,000 years later after this final seeding of Earth with this final round of humans, or not final. That sounds, well, yeah, no, maybe final. Yeah. Anyways, it does sound very ominous to say final though.
We're the last humans.
I mean, unless we're evolving into something else, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. We are. And so so we're also like, what's happening on Earth right now is such a big deal. Like we are in a culmination of like 6 different cycles. We have been in the Kali Yuga, and now we're in the Kaladerma. Anyways, we're in a transition state. In addition to that, so what that kind of means is that we have moved into a place in the universe where we're actually getting much more light. And so we're moving out of a dark era into the golden age.
Yeah.
And we're in the in-between Z period. And there's also like all these other various cycles that are all culminating. And so what's happening, and like the CIA has had psychics like
Mhm.
trying to read our future. And
Interesting.
all as far as they could get was like this light blast. And it's not too much farther into the future than we are now. I don't actually know if they've figured like a year, but it's not very far from now where they just got this light blast, and they thought that was like the end of humanity. They're like, oh, we're gonna blow ourselves up or something. you know.
Believable, honestly.
But like many mystics, and this is all over the world, that many mystics believe that it's actually because we're evolving into Homo luminous, and so it's like something that has never happened before. So we don't know what it's going to happen, but there's going to be a lot of light, and so this whole big exciting thing is happening. So like everybody, David Bowie has it in one of his songs. Like they're literally here watching the show. This is a really big deal. They're all there. They're all in the audience in their little spaceships, looking down, seeing what's going to happen on Earth, because it's a really big deal. So
We're going to evolve into Homo luminous right
Yep.
in front of everybody's eyes.
yeah,
Just like that.
I don't know if it's like that.
You know what
We
you're
don't
talking
know.
about in regards to those cycles, that is from like ancient Hindu scripture, I believe, right? Or
Yeah.
Tibet Hindu.
It's
Astrology,
it's
yeah.
in Sanskrit, so whatever.
Yeah.
From India. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to like start a resource library so I can get caught up on this stuff for sure.
We actually should. That's a really good idea.
Mhm. Yeah, you should write a book, Lana.
I
There
mean,
you go.
but so many people have written books.
Yeah, but this
Oh.
would be your book.
It's true. I do write. I have written a book, and I
Oh,
am
that's cool.
writing another book. So there are
Nice.
books. There will be books.
Awesome.
Nice.
Aliens by Lana.
One of my best friends is like a little human design guru. And she's been into it for a long time. And according to human design, 2027 is the date where there's that big shift. And what she's saying is that is when we move from where we sort of like take this evolutionary leap out of directing our lives through our mind, through what we think and our logical mind, into what the human design calls the inner authority, or this light that you're talking about, Lana. So she's talking about it like, well, basically like human design teaches you that the different energy centers in your auric field, some of them are open or undefined and some of them are defined. And the ones that are open, like if you have an open head center, then you are sort of receptive to other people's thoughts and other people's ideas and other people's beliefs. And they come in and because they're in your head, they feel like your own. And so you can be often swayed to do things if you're only using your mind. And then vice
Yeah.
versa with the emotional body. Also, there's the which I have the open head center and the emotion and the open emotional center.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's like really important if you have those open centers that you learn what your inner authority is so you can direct your life, because I'm obviously influenced by other people's thoughts, other people's emotions. Yeah.
So what's your human design?
Generator with sacral inner authority, which is, I love my sacral inner authority. That's like the gut, yes or no. How about
Yeah.
you, Lana?
I'm a manifester, also sacral authority. So yeah.
Oh, good. Manifestor. Do you know yours?
I'm a manifester generator. So
Okay.
I have the both, but I don't know like what my defined and not defined area is.
Do you know what your inner authority is?
No. I had it pulled at some point. I'm sure I could like pull it again, but all I know is I'm just a manifesting generator.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
basically
love
means
human design. It's really,
yeah,
I
it's
find it to
really
be really helpful.
interesting. Yeah, it's very, very helpful, really, very supportive on your journey to discover what you have defined and what you have undefined. And then you can start to like feel other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I bet that person's got a defined head center. I always envy that, like the people that can retain all that information up there.
I'm gonna look mine up while you guys.
I know. I'm so curious. I'm like, is my head defined? I don't remember. I know what my determination is because I was just reading about it because I was like, wait a minute, I should see like what like kind of things are specific for man because I never even occurred to me that like the determination would I mean obviously, but just didn't occur to me that the determination would vary from like type to type. Like I have low determination, which means like um I should eat it in quiet spaces and like it takes me a little while to digest and like maybe not have super giant meals and then I was like, oh, I wonder if that means something different for a projector that or a reflector than it does for a manifester. And I was looking it up and I was like, oh my goodness, it actually does.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it said like and that's actually this woman's website who I really love. It's I think it's Astro HD. She's just great. She's really young and like really into it and really zippy and like she's just one of those people that has like gone next level into it. And Kelsey something. And yeah, so she talks about how like manifestors are like kind of have this like almost sort of like this the intensity of manifestors extends into like food and that we should actually allow ourselves to get super hungry and then eat a big meal. And I was like, well, that's really interesting. That's like basically the opposite of low determination. Not the opposite, but it's, you know, and so I'm like, okay, well, so maybe that's why there's some like middle thing. And then she talks about different gates. We
Mhm.
got way off of aliens, but she talks about different
Way off.
gates and how like even certain gates have certain meanings like gate 43 to 7 or whatever it is like, you know, this person has a special relationship with fats or like gate 53 to 9 this person has a special relationship to red meats. And so I found that really interesting as well because that was like another layer of like, okay, well, yeah, that is true. I do have a special relationship with carbohydrates and red meats. All right.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah. My
I just-
friend's name is Raquel Reina. She's got a YouTube channel. She started getting into, and I don't even know what this is, but she started getting into codons in the human design system. And I don't even know what it is, but her and her tribe there are like decoding codons and discovering like this particular manifestation in human design creates this kind of health issue weakness, and the antidote is this. And so
Love
they're doing
that.
like all this research on like interesting health stuff, and it's research in regards to like, okay, I have this, and yes, I have this. Like I have this in my human design, and yes, I have the correlating health issue
Yeah.
Yeah.
amongst the tribe. Yeah.
I just found out I was sacral authority.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh.
That's
Don't
the
know what that
easiest.
means, but that's what
It's
I
a gut
That
response.
means you listen to your gut.
Yeah. It's a gut yes or no.
I always just say that's my intuition, but yeah.
It's a gut yes or no. I can bring this back to aliens.
Let's do
But-
it.
Well, let me first say this. I want to say that yes or no, like, so that they call it the human design experiment. So once you discover what your inner authority is, then you experiment with using it. And apparently, if you go by your human design authority rather than your mind or your emotions to make your decisions, then you will be led to your highest life path potential. And so there was this time in my life where I was renting out the rooms in my house. And there was this guy that came in as a potential renter. And I thought, oh, he's really sweet. But I had this gut reaction. He's really sweet, but he's not a right fit for the house. It was a sacral no. It was a real solid sacral no. But then his mom started texting me and pressuring me and like waving cash under my nose. And I was like, you know what?
Oh, geez, she was really
Jeez.
trying to get rid of him.
She was like really like trying to find him a place. So I was like, you know what? It would be easy for me just to take this money and have this guy move in, and I'll just deal with the consequences later at some other date because I've got so much else going on, and looking for housemates is a pain in the butt. So anyways, it was only 2 weeks before it became a natural disaster in my home. And it was like the biggest lesson in the experiment of always trusting that inner authority.
Jeez.
Yeah. But to tie it back to aliens, Ra Uru Hu, the founder of the human design system, he has a video out there on YouTube called The Voice. And so he channeled all of this information from The Voice,
Oh, I've
which
seen
was
that.
most likely alien intelligence. Yeah.
I really like that guy. Him and I have like a really similar human design chart, actually.
Yeah?
It kind of, when I started, like, I was like, wait a minute, like we're both this. It was a little bit weird. But yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting. So you saw that video?
I've seen a few of his videos. Like he pops up on TikTok every now and then. It was interesting. I didn't really know what to think about it at first.
It's a little creepy. He's like he's an interesting dude. I like him.
I guess I'm always just cautious.
But he seems
Um,
also like,
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say, he seems like a little bit of an asshole.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm always just like cautious when
Yeah.
there's someone that says like, "Oh, I'm channeling something."
Yeah.
But that's with anything.
Yeah. I like
But that
him.
was a
I like
really
that he's a little
detailed
bit of an
channel.
asshole.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
was a
yeah, I
really
would.
detailed and accurate kind of channel. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's yeah, I've seen him pop up a couple of times.
He did.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, then they're
Yeah,
older ones then.
He did.
Yeah, he is dead. Yeah. Yeah. He did his thing. He
He
brought
did
in
his thing, and he did his thing, and he was done. He was
Yeah, he pooped
completed.
out.
Yeah.
It's like,
My-
bye-bye.
My friend has a theory that he got kind of dark at the end, and they offed him.
Oh my
Hmm.
goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking, who are the theys? Because like,
I
who's
was
the theys?
they the spirit guides, the divine, the aliens, whoever, I don't know.
They were
Whoever
like,
gave him the message, he was distorting. My
They're like,
friend was like,
"Crap."
I think he's distorting the message. He's going into like real separation consciousness, and then he died.
they're like, no, he's
And-
spilling our dark secrets. He's gotta
Yeah.
go.
Nah.
Oh,
So yeah, she's really believing in the 2027 thing, which is really not that far away. What do we got? 3 years?
Yeah.
Kind of interesting
What's
to see what
another
happens.
big year event, you know? Every 3 years seems to be on track.
I like your thoughts on it, Lana.
what are my thoughts?
Oh, just about us turning into luminous humanoids.
Yeah, I mean, I think
love that.
maybe it's not going to happen like okay. So there's lots of different like mystics out there that are talking about this, and that, obviously there's going to be like varying opinions.
Mhm.
And some of them say like the people that are like really doing the work, and by doing the work, I mean I always just go back to trauma healing. To me, that's doing the work.
Yep.
Like that's the main thing. is that we have been on Earth just creating and accumulating trauma, just like generations after generations of trauma, trauma, trauma. And and so what I found through the trauma healing, like I've talked about before, is this like the more trauma healing I do, the more emotional processing I do, I find that the more I glow. Like
Mhm.
I literally my skin people like will not see me for a while, and then they'll see me and they'll be like, wow, you're like glowing. And I'm like, yeah, healing my trauma. That's how it goes.
Because it's all buried in there. Yeah.
It's all bit well, and it's like it becomes a shadow of darkness on us.
Mhm.
Like this, like
Yep.
I mean, you can literally look at a person's face and like see in them if they have got demons, if they've got a bunch of other kind of parasitic energetic entities. You
Yeah.
can look at them and see in their skin color, and I don't mean like the shade of tan that they
Yeah.
are. I mean like how is it gray? Is it yellow? Is it like what's the texture of it? Do they
Yeah.
have big under eye circles? Like, do they have some kind of like
Right.
thing that looks like it's, and so moving into Homo Luminous is like shedding all that shit. you know? And then we're getting all this light from the sun. We're in a solar maximum. While we're also getting all this light from the the universal center, I guess. And while at the same time our the electromagnetic field of the earth is weakening, so we're actually not only are we getting blasted with this stuff, but it's also we're not shielded as much from it. And so it's changing us, it's changing the structure. And so a lot of mystics believe that like it's not going to happen to everybody all at once, and it might not even happen to everybody. Like
Mhm.
we might be two different species of humans living simultaneously on the planet at the same time, back like the old days.
Like the old days with the Neanderthals and the humanoids.
I mean, there were so many there was, which again, we could go into aliens and how I believe that many of I've taken physical anthropology classes, like, and what I learned in those classes was they don't know shit.
Yeah.
That they are throwing darts at a dartboard in the dark, taking skulls and being like, well, this skull kind of resembles this skull. So we think that they went from this to, and so like, but my belief around all of that and the different types of skulls and the different, like, we're finding modern humans hundreds of thousands of years ago. This isn't just like 30,000 years like we originally believed, but like if you
Right.
take
Yeah.
into account that there's all these freaking aliens with their own agendas trying to do hybridization programs on humans, then yeah, that would explain a lot of these like different skulls and different bones and different things. And they're like, well, it doesn't really fit into our little like like our calendar.
What we've created as our reality. Yeah.
Well, and I
Yeah.
mean, maybe this is too conspiracy theorist, but it's very possible that there's stuff that was discovered that was just not shared to the general public.
100%. I personally have no doubt that they have
Yeah.
squashed.
Area 51. Well, they got there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I also
Stephen?
have ideas about the Greys in Area 51. Area 51, I believe a lot of that has to do with the Greys. And the Greys, which get a bad rap because they're, out there kidnapping people and doing weird stuff to them. But mostly the Greys, from my understanding of the Greys, is that they lost their home planet and they're just trying to figure out a place where they can live, and they can't survive on Earth. So they're trying to like take humans and figure out how to hybridize them with their own DNA to try to make something that will work for them.
The gray is like what we would think of as like your normal gray alien from outer space. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, with like the big head and the big
Yeah.
eyes.
The
Yeah.
classic abductor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen Greer. Have you guys heard of this guy, Stephen Greer?
Mm-mm.
He's got a channel on the Gaia channel, or show on the Gaia channel called Disclosure. And he does something. I'm gonna CR4. I'm butchering that. He's got some sort of protocol for calling the aliens down, and he's got this whole movie, sort of a documentary of taking these people out on these different trips, these different sites, and calling the aliens in. And there was a really interesting one where this guy was deaf. He had been deaf, or he had gone deaf for many, many years, or he was deaf from birth. I'm not sure, but he was with this group of people and he felt really isolated because he couldn't hear anything that they were saying. And at night he was woken up by this like globe of light, and he walked outside. He followed the globe, did something with the globe. And then when he was walking back, he's like, oh, by the way, if you can do anything about my ears, I'd love to hear again. And the next day he woke up with perfect hearing.
Whoa.
So that's something.
I love that
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love that there's so many different versions of reality and different perceptions of reality. And, like, and isn't it possible that they could all actually be real? Like they could all be simultaneous. We could have a flat earth and a round earth. It could be true. Both could be true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
true.
interesting.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard about the like concept that like me, and it was from a friend, and I was in high school, and she was like, I'm the only person in existence. Like you guys are all sort of just like here. And at the time I was like, okay, my friend is cray cray, and she has like this is like a serious, like self-centered, like weird this seems problematic, but now like looking back on it, I'm like, well, she was touching on a very like universal kind of like concept that like everyone I think could relate to on some level. Is that what if I am the only person in the universe and everything else is sort of just either my creation? But the thing is that we all are.
Yeah. What is
We
that
all,
called?
it's so weird. Yeah. What is it called? Does it have a name? Because that's the
Oh,
first
yeah,
time I've actually heard it.
Oh, let me Google.
Yeah, let's googs.
I had that experience when I was.
Solipsism is the belief that I am the only mind which exists, and basically everyone else is a figment of my imagination.
They're all just actors and they don't exist if I don't see them. Yeah. I
Which
had
is-
that as a very real sense of my reality in my like early early 20s, late teens, early 20s. And I told my friend about it and she thought that was really effed up, but it was freaky. It was freaky to have that sense of like just the people around you just being like extras in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also freaky to think that each one of them has their own unique, completely unique reality, completely unique perspective on the world, which is also correct for them.
Yeah, well, I think like with that one specifically, it's just you, so everyone in your mind is just another part of you living out itself.
Yeah.
I remember reading about this and someone made the argument, I'm like, well, if that's the case, you are basically God, like creating your own universe. And I was like, oh, this hurts my brain.
But it is true though.
Yeah.
On,
I mean,
on one hand, it absolutely is 100% true.
yeah.
That's the whole oneness. The whole oneness thing. It gets like the further you go on this spiritual path, like the weirder it gets, weirder and weirder and weirder it gets.
It reminds me of when I first started college and I took Philosophy 101, and they present you with one of the theories and you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Like, I believe this. And then they'll present to you the theory that's the exact opposite of that. And you're just like, oh, I also like kind of
That
believe
makes
this.
sense too.
And it's like that all the time.
Yeah.
So that's why, like even when I say like, oh, I never believed in aliens before, but I can't like say that they don't exist, because who knows? Maybe everything exists. everywhere all the time. They made a movie about it, but
They literally made hot dog fingers.
I
Be real.
love that so much. But I mean, like, that's kind of just like my view
That's one of my
on it.
favorite movies.
Yeah,
I
it's
think I
so
watched that
good.
like 3 times.
it
Yeah.
was so good. But like, that's kind
So
of how
good.
I see reality is just like, if you can think it, it exists somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. So funny. So I'm recommending that movie to friends, and they're like, they watch it and they're like, that was really bad.
Like, no,
One
you
of my
have to go-
spiritual
you have to go in it
teachers.
with the right mindset.
One of my spiritual teachers was like, that was traumatic for me. Like I couldn't watch it. It was so traumatic. I'm like, what was traumatic about it? I thought it was wonderful.
I mean, there was a lot of blood.
There was a lot of blood. It also,
And
I don't know,
violence.
sometimes people are just uncomfortable with thinking. They're just like, oh,
Well, it
Blood.
depends. Like,
blood and
I don't remember
thinking.
there being a lot of blood.
no, because you were into the movie itself. But when I watched it a second time, I was like, oh wow, there actually is a lot of violence. But then it was like I was so into the movie, it didn't matter. It wasn't
The
like,
concept of the, yeah.
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 But yeah.
Everything everywhere all at once is what we're talking about, guys. If you
Oh yeah,
haven't
just in case
watched
we.
it. In case that wasn't clear, everything everywhere all at once is the name of the movie.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, there's
It's
you
good.
know, I was trying to figure out how to tie that back to aliens, but it just goes back to the statement of like, I can't disprove that like aliens exist, and it makes sense. I always tell everyone, I mean, maybe this is really harsh, but I'm like, it's almost ignorant for us to sit here and say that like there's nothing out there in the universe.
That's totally ignorant.
Yeah, they like there's definitely advanced life forms out there, even if it's as simple as like one thing I learned in a biology class. One of the first things my biology professor says, he was like, if Earth was to ever become invaded by an alien and wipe us out, it wouldn't be like what we think a typical alien is. It's going to be something like bacteria. There's going to be like some alien bacteria that makes its way to Earth somehow and just wipes us all out. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think about like non-intelligent life forms and things like that. So when we talk about aliens, we usually talk about like all the intelligent ones, but there's also the idea of unintelligent life forms. I don't know, maybe bacteria is not unintelligent, but you know what I mean. It can't like speak with us or like
Terrence McKenna believes that mushrooms are aliens, that mushrooms actually come from outer space. The spores can exist. They're one of the only things that can exist in that vacuum of space. And he believes that these mushrooms evolved themselves to the point where they can they create symbiosis with human beings. So we eat them and we like them and we enjoy them and then we grow them. And then he says this whole story is like, and then they teach us to the point where we can then leave the planet and take them with us.
oh, that's kind of cool.
Very
I mean,
interesting.
if you think about it, I don't think we're very far off from like going elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in like our lifetime. I mean, when I say not very far off, it's like kind of relative, but you know, I think we're getting closer and closer. So maybe the mushrooms are just like, yep, this is what I want. Get me out.
Next planet, please. And they just keep populating planets.
Yeah, they are certainly magical creatures of like awareness and healing.
Yeah.
We consciousness, they're a collective. It's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since the funny thing, most humans have come across one or more non-human physical beings. Yeah, we were kind of talking about that earlier, how they're kind of just like here with us. And yeah, I think for the most part, like you wouldn't really know. That did kind of remind me though of like the idea of, I don't know if this like applies to aliens, but the idea of like uncanny valley, where you essentially experience something that passes as human, but there's always something, and you like know deep down, you're like, no, this isn't, there's just something about this that isn't right. And I'm just like, if we have, but think about it. The fact that we have that built into us means that there is a reason for us to have a fear of something that so strongly resembles a human being, but isn't, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you think about it, people have probably at some point experienced something that passed as human, but wasn't. Aliens.
Aliens. Or vampires.
Oh, I love vampires. I would rather meet a vampire.
Would you become a vampire?
Oh, I had this conversation yesterday. So, younger me would have said yes, but then I really, really thought about it. And I'm like, vampires are immortal unless, they're not really immortal, but they'll live until they're killed. But you're kind of stuck to the physical at that point. And I'm just like, do I want to be stuck in the physical world for all eternity? Or would I rather just, pass on and exist in the spirit world?
That's interesting.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, who wouldn't want to become a vampire and, be immortal? But then I was like, wait. Does that mean that I have to stay on Earth for eternity? Because I don't know about that.
Well, until you step out into the sun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could always do
What was
that.
that
I guess I could
movie?
just wake up like 3,000 years and be like, all right, I'm out. I've had enough.
Wasn't there a movie? I know there was a movie where at the end the vampire went and stepped out into the sun. Well, there's been a couple of
I was gonna
them.
say there's been a few. I recently just watched Midnight Mass. That one was wild. That was a wild ride.
Is that the one? Oh yeah, that's a series, right?
Mhm, that's the series.
That was really good.
That's like
That
the
was
Haunting on Hill House
really good.
continuation thing. True Blood is heavy on vampires. Yep.
True
There's
Blood.
lots of- lots
That's
of good-
vampire soap opera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
That's great. It's hilarious, True Blood.
Oh, I mean,
I
that
think there was
kinda-
like
Go
two
ahead.
additional there was like I don't know how many seasons of True Blood there was. I think I watched like most of them. After the whole Lilith thing. That was I think the last one I watched.
I've actually never seen True Blood.
No?
I did Vampire Diaries.
It's like vampire porn.
I've
vampire
heard
porn,
that
yeah.
before.
And there are fairies in it. Which,
I love
you know,
fairies though.
Yeah, there's fairies.
So, okay, maybe, maybe this is another topic, but like, so, I think I'm just kind of going back to like the definition of aliens, right? We say like non-Earth beings. Would that include things maybe like, well, so like, what about like gods and stuff like that? Like, would you consider gods aliens? Or would you consider that more in like the spirit realm?
Yeah, well, that's actually a really big question because, well, I mean, especially because like I believe personally that Earth is just first density this planet, and then
Right.
we've got Terra and Gaia, and then I think the highest dimensional, well, the least dense one is oh, I'm forgetting what it's called. I want to call it Aramatena, but I don't know if that's quite right. I could be like mixing up science fiction with other things. Which, I mean, science fiction, all real, as we know.
That's all real.
Definitely.
I'm not even joking. Oh wait, what was the question? Oh yeah, gods. So, I mean, I guess aliens would be anything that's really like from off planet, but like God, I guess it kind of depends on like how much they're like, if they're like, if they are anchored in this planetary, in our planetary sort of like realm, whether it's in like Terra, Gaia, or Arima, whatever, the outer one. Or if they are like all over the universe. I think it would kind of depend on where their sort of home base is.
Right.
I think that a lot of the earlier gods that what were considered gods, and also like royalty, because the royalty was considered gods, I think a lot of them were aliens. I think they were aliens. Like I'm talking about Egyptian gods specifically that I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we're working with like Wicca and stuff, I guess it would depend on which one you're talking about, really. Because the
Yeah.
there's a lot of the goddesses are very, very earth based, and a lot of the gods are very, very earth based.
Right. So I
But
mean, that would kind of
there's
make them
other
aliens,
ones.
right? But I feel like another distinction that we're saying is like they exist in the physical form in some way. Right? Or no? Do they not have
I mean,
to exist in the
are we
physical
talking
They
form?
don't
about?
have to.
I believe that most of the gods kind of poop in as people every so often. You know.
I don't think that aliens necessarily have to exist in the physical form. Like the physical in regards to like a physical
Like, yeah, like me and you.
body. Yeah, I mean, I think some of them might have like gas bodies.
Yeah.
Like I think that there might be beings that exist within the sun and within the stars, and they wouldn't have a physical body, they would have a gaseous body.
Could even be like consciousness if we even want to stretch it that far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I consider aliens and demons to be, or aliens and demons, angels and demons to be aliens.
That was gonna be a follow-up question. So like it's just kind of like a broad term that covers, you know, all of these things. I know the three of us believe in.
Yeah.
And things,
What do you
know,
mean
like
angels and demons are aliens?
Well, it's my
Oh, wouldn't they
understanding
be?
that they don't come from here, that they're actually they're
Right.
not from the earthly realms like at all.
Like they were never human.
They were never human, and they weren't from even from our like star system. They're like from some other galaxy. I don't know if they're trapped or what, but
Demons?
I'd say so.
yeah, I mean, I think so. I believe that they all came as angels. They were all here, and then I don't know how they came. I really don't know the whole story behind that, how they got here, what they're doing here. But when they came here, there was the split that happened where some of them were like, "Oh, we're here now and we're kind of stuck. So let's like admire it and watch over these beautiful humans." And then the other ones were like, "You know what though? They have access to 12 dimensions simultaneously and we only have access to the 7th dimensional frequency band. Like I
This is a
kind of
nice place
want
to be stuck.
Yeah, they're like, I kind of want to get in on their action. And those were the ones that became demons and that were like, we don't care about their free will. We're going to fuck with them. And then the angels were like, we love them. We think they're beautiful. You know, we want to protect them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting at too, is like all the, the things that I normally work with and believe in, demons, angels. Like, well, I mean, if we're going off the idea that like aliens are non-human, I wouldn't consider like ghosts or anything like that. But yeah, I kind of agree with that line of thinking. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think if I had to like, because one of my next thoughts are, well, what's the point? Like, what are we doing? I mean, you touched on it a little bit, Lana, but I feel like a lot of these beings are either here to fuck with us, so they're like, I just want to mess with these guys a little bit, these silly little humans, or they genuinely want to share knowledge and I don't know, maybe help advance humanity, or like, who knows.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know if you guys know about the Prime Directive.
No.
Yep. Yeah.
So in Star Trek,
Yeah.
there's the Prime Directive, which is that like they can travel around the universe or galaxies or whatever. and they don't ever make themselves known to any intelligent, sentient life forms that are not already aware of like the outer realms, like the other beings, the other life forms. So if they're just like living on their little planet in like huts, and that's not actually, because some people in huts probably had mystics that knew about aliens. So if they don't know about aliens, they don't get involved,
Right.
and they don't let themselves be known. They can like go and peek at them and check them out and stuff, but they cannot make themselves be known. So like, I think that there has been a sort of prime directive shielding us for a while now from really, the
The full reality of things. And I think it's
exactly.
because, especially like back in the old days, we're simply just not either supposed to know, or we just like we can't know for whatever reason. And I think that barrier is breaking down bit by bit, and like you said, at some point I think we're just gonna like it's gonna come out. um and some people I feel like are already just more than others.
I think
Lon-
it's like the
Lana's
100
very
monkey
in tune with it.
effect. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the 100 monkey effect. Like when it becomes more and more like normal for people to like believe and accept this alternate life, then actually that consciousness will just increase, and then it'll become available to us. But the
Yeah.
prime directive, it's interesting that you said, because so the prime directive is also similar to like the universal law of the universal law of interference. Like you're not allowed karmically, you're not allowed to interfere in someone else's life choices. Like you can say there's other choices, but you're not allowed karmically to like hey, take choice B, because choice B will be the higher choice. You have to allow karmically, you have to allow somebody to make their own decision, unless they're asking you for your help. So it's similar to like the non-interference karmic law. Even as a healer, you're not allowed to heal somebody without their permission. It's against karmic law. You receive karma from that. So the theory of like the star seed and the walk-in is like the loophole to prime directive and the law of non-interference, which is the soul or the alien can be incarnated as a human, and now they can affect change as a human because they're in human form, but they have to go through the when you
veil.
incarnate as the human, you have to go through the veil. You have to accept the human experience, and then you must awaken to the fact that you're more than human, that you have greater influence over your reality than the regular 3D mentality.
It kind of reminds me of the concept of like the Earth School. And basically, when we die, when we're not in our physical form, we can choose to come back to Earth if we want to. And yeah, someone in chat was talking about this, where how essentially you have a choice, one, to have this human experience again for whatever reason, if you're coming here to learn something or you're coming here to teach others. And two, like, you have all the information going into it, and then when you're born or whatever, like you lose it. Like you don't remember, and then you kind of, I feel like some people may start remembering or remember like past lives or something. So it's all just crazy how like familiar it is across all these different things I read and learn about. I feel like we're all just saying the same things in different ways.
All paths lead back to the one.
Yeah.
I've had these. So the star seed theory, the star seed mythos, what I just shared, is something that resonates really strongly. Like when I discovered that, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense for myself. I've had these experiences where it's like that knowing, or I was in New York City and I was walking on the street in New York City and I was watching the people walk their dogs, and there was just like this, like almost words in my head going like, I am not from this place. Like I am alien. Like I am not from this place.
Yeah.
I've
And then there
always
was
just called that dissociating.
yeah, is it dissociating or it's just like,
That's yeah, where
ah?
you kind of just like it's kind of just like you just kind of forget your own existence sometimes, and you have to like come back, and you're just like, oh, I'm like a person, and it feels so not I'm not this isn't a pun. It feels so alien to you to be a person, if that makes sense.
But I'm dissociating all the time, and people talk about it like it's a negative thing, but it's actually really enjoyable.
Well, yeah,
And it's not like a trauma. Like I'm not like bouncing out of here because of
it can
trauma.
be. It
It can
definitely can
be.
be.
It can be, but I'm saying for myself is I'm not bouncing out of here because it's trauma. I'm like, I'm actually like feel like I'm existing in way more realities than the physical one. And
Yeah.
sometimes looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, that's what you look like.
Yeah, that's kind of very similar to what dissociating is. Or like I'll just be sitting at work on a meeting, and then all of a sudden I'll just be like, in the grand scheme of things, this is so silly. Like all of this is so
Yeah.
silly, and like this doesn't even matter. It's just like kind of one of those existential crisis moments. But
So
they're fun sometimes.
so I believe that in response to the starseed concept, which, maybe Rune, you also are a starseed and you're calling it disassociation when really your like soul memory is trying to be like, hey, like something's going on.
Well, because the idea is just like I'm assuming this is very similar to when someone says like, oh, they're an old soul, like they've done this before, like they've been around, like they've done this a few times.
Do
Well,
you not believe that?
Is that what we're talking about?
well, no. So, with the star seeds, so this goes back to the cycles within cycles, and that Earth being in a place that it hasn't ever been. And so, we've been like trying to dig Earth and humanity out of this mud for a very long time because we had these like really beautiful, amazing DNA templates that were being degraded, and that humans weren't able to like fully access their power, and they're meant to be these like massively powerful creator gods, but are their energies being diverted and siphoned, and we're sort of like enslaved with our consciousness. And so as we were getting to this place in the sort of Earth drama, where there was actually like a hope of pulling Earth and humanity out of the mud and out of this like phantom matrix that it was sort of in, um, or they were maybe not entirely in, but trying to pull Earth into.
Mm-hmm.
Which I could talk for days about the whole thing behind the Phantom Matrix.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, no, but we're
It's a
really wanna-
24-hour marathon today. You guys doing coffee chats. We're going for a marathon.
And so
Sorry, Lana.
as we realized that we were on this like schedule where we could like do a bunch of like awesome stuff if we just like had the right team, like the whole thing in like the new age community, the phrase that you hear a lot is the call went out. Basically, the call went out all over the universe. Who wants to go to Earth and help us save Earth and humanity? And oh, Zara, that gave me the chills when you raised your hand. um and so it was like, these people were like people from all over the universe were hand selected to go down, poop down onto Earth, and help wake up the collective and help bring about the things that would be necessary for humans to step into the next level and to like wake up out of this like toxic sludge and this enslavement, this consciousness enslavement. And so, yeah, and so that's a lot of the star seeds. There's like, you know, star seeds, indigos. There's various different types of, and there's like there's a lot of like, I know that there's a lot of people incarnated that have been previously living as fairies in the fifth dimension. So there's a lot of fairies that are.
wish.
I mean, it's very, very possible that you're a fairy who just pooped down into Earth to help out, to bring your like special rune fairy magics and perspective into this collective in order to bring it up and open up the awareness and open up the consciousness.
Yeah.
This reminds me. Do you guys know about? Have you ever heard of like the Akashic records?
Yeah.
Well, I had somebody read mine because it was free for like joining a program a while back, and they just like emailed it to me. And I guess in my Akashic record, it did say that I was. So I was just like, oh, interesting.
What, a fairy?
No, it's Starseed.
It was starseed. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm just like, I didn't know like what that meant. I don't know a lot about it. I haven't done a lot of research on it. So I was just like on Akashic records or like Starseed or anything like that. I haven't done a lot of research, but
I'm gonna say you definitely are, honey.
I mean, okay, listen, I'm
if
just saying,
we're hanging out,
if
yeah,
I'm supposed to be helping humanity is screwed because
Oh no,
just stay-
you're
That's true.
definitely helping humanity. You like talk to ghosts and you like do magical, like supernatural workings. Like, come on now, girlfriend.
That's all it is. It's really just about showing by example that these things are possible. And by showing by example that these things are possible, then other people start to like, oh, maybe I could do that too. Oh, and that's when the DNA gets unlocked.
everyone.
But I want to share this into the stratosphere here of the millions of people and the millions of people that are going to watch this later. That if you're a starseed, if you have an inkling that you're a starseed, there's another aspect to it that is really important that came to me, which is this. If you're a starseed, then your soul is already a master at waking up inside of the density. If it weren't, you wouldn't have been chosen. If it weren't, you wouldn't have chosen to come. But you already knew that you could do this. That's why you came. That's why you came. And I'll say, like, my early life, like from probably super young age to like 30, that was like fraught with confusion and difficulty and like, what the fuck is going on? Like an Alice in Wonderland kind of. I mean, people used to say to me, like, you look like you're Alice in Wonderland. I'm like, that's what I feel like I'm on this crazy planet. It's all madness here. But in the waking up, like in the waking up is this really, it's about realizing that you are eternal, that you are divine, that you can never be hurt, harmed, and danger, that when your physical vessel dies, you continue. And so like when you can get to that place where you actually know it, realize it, feel it, embody it, you're not in fear anymore. You're not afraid. You're not afraid of like the reptilian race controlling the earth, because it's all a drama anyways. You're not afraid of dying. I mean, there's definitely a fear of suffering. We don't want to suffer and we prefer not to, but yeah, that kind of like when you realize really like you're eternal, you've done, I know in the beginning part of my life, I didn't know that I did this before. I didn't know that I had past lives here. I felt it. I had inklings of it. I had visions of it. But through all of the inner work that I've done and all of the
exploration that I've done, I know solidly that I've been here before, that I've known this person before, and this person, I've had a relationship with this person before. Like, I recognize my soul tribe. And now that I'm 50, right? So my first 30 years were insanity, but now that I'm 50, I'm solid. And when I look back at all the growth that I navigated and all of the manifestations and creations that I navigated, I'm at the point in my life now where it's like, all right, let's go bigger. Let's go
Yeah.
a lot bigger, bigger, because there's so much more that we can do. And knowing that, just having that piece of, if you are a star seed and you're in confusion, like you don't know what's going on, know that deep down, know that you are already a master at waking up inside of the density. You're already a master. You're already that. And claiming it for yourself, trusting your intuition and your guidance, because that's what you're here to do. And that's what you're here to show. You will make it. You'll break through the density.
Yeah. Maybe there's something about the age of 30. Cause I also like, I feel like for the first 30, I'll be turning 31 on Sunday. For like the first 30 years, I was like, it was just like a struggle, and like, you know, just because I had these beliefs, I had certain gifts. But society really makes you think twice about it, you know? And there's so many times where I was just like, I'm crazy, like there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's like you hit 30 and it was just like, okay, I understand what I need to do. I really don't care what anyone thinks about it.
Yeah.
The people it's for, it's gonna make sense, and for who it's not, they're just gonna think I'm crazy, and that's fine. But it was at 30 where it was just like, I was like, all right, I've got it. I know what I need to do. And I'm doing it. So wish I could have learned it a lot sooner, but I guess the important thing is I did learn it.
Also, age 33 is sort of like an initiation age. So leading up to that, there's a lot of like lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I
almost like a switch. It's just like
Yeah.
you just go from like doubting yourself and just like snapping your fingers, and I'm like, all right, that's done.
Yeah.
I also do want to say to the all the star seeds and indigos and fairies and gnomes and dwarfs and elves and
Giants,
and unicorns,
dragons,
Demons, angels,
mermaids, maybe not the demons and angels,
vampires.
but the vampires. Well, I'm gonna leave the vampires off.
How about the furries? The furries are a new phenomenon.
Okay, well, and the furries. That if you think you're a mermaid, if you're like, I'm a mermaid, I don't know why I'm a mermaid, but for some reason I think I'm a mermaid, then you know what? You were probably a mermaid. If you think you're a fairy, you know what? You're probably been a fairy for the last 20,000 years, and now you just pooped onto Earth for a moment to like do some stuff. Like, so it's beautiful. It's wonderful. Also, all the starseeds and indigos especially, who are like, what's my purpose? It's like, yes, it's lovely to know your purpose, but also at the same time, you just being here is your purpose. Like, just living your life and awakening at whatever pace that happens is,
Your
So, yeah.
purpose is simply to awaken. Your
Yeah.
purpose is simply to awaken to who you actually are and to your expanded gifts. That's it. Once you do that, the rest is simple. Then you know
Yeah.
what to do. Yeah. This is what I wanted to say, because I forgot, you were talking about fairies and all of these other entities. And what I have come to understand is that we talked about the Gestalt, right? In the last one,
Gestalt. Yeah.
the Gestalt, that
Yeah.
was really interesting to me. But so the Gestalt is this too, like your fairy body still exists. Like it's
Yeah.
all, so when we went way out, we're coming back in, we're going big, we're going way out again. which is into that oneness and all time happening now.
Yeah.
So you actually have, it's not that you were a fairy, it's that part of your consciousness is a fairy and
Yes.
is having a fairy life and is experiencing that now as part of your soul's gestalt. And so you have that connection and you can work with that fairy or elf or dragon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can work with them, you can connect with them, and they have lots of magic, lots of information to share with you.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Yes. Plus, also, dragons just really want to work with us right now, like in a really big way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, like, also the other part of me is just like, well, you know, let me see. I'm curious, like, out of this big long list of things we listed, what actually is out there and what's not, you know? Are vampires a part of that? Fairies, I'd like would 100% believe that because I believe in the Fae, I believe in all that kind of stuff. It'd just be interesting to. I just wish I knew more, honestly. Dragons would be really cool.
What would you do if you found out that vampires were actual, real, physical entities? I mean, there's
there are
definitely
vampires in New Orleans, but those are just people drinking blood. But I don't know. I just think it would be cool to see the effect something like that would have like on society. Like if it came out that like vampires were real, everyone learned that like vampires and like werewolves and even like fairies and stuff were real and they were like here on Earth in their own forms. They're not even necessarily like living the human life. Like if we just like found out one day that like, oh yeah, that's a vampire in vampire form. I don't know. I think it'd just be interesting to see like the effect that has on society.
I mean,
I don't think it would
I-
be good.
I don't think it would
I
either.
don't think that would be
Humans have a nasty habit of just screwing everything
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear.
Yep.
I mean, I think shapeshifters are real, you know,
Yeah.
the Wendigos, the like medicine people who shapeshift.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that I think that that's probably where we got a lot of our like werewolf kind of mythologies is from actual like, you know, magical people
Things
who
happening, yeah.
who are able to shapeshift and do kind of like also like dream traveling in different shapes too. Yeah.
Like Bran in the Game of Thrones. I love that character. Yeah. Bran goes
I-
into the tree and
I
No
couldn't
Game of-
watch
No,
too much.
Game of
I didn't
Thrones.
watch Game of Thrones either.
Ah,
It's just too much rape and murdering and like brutal. I just no.
it was
not
pretty
for me.
brutal.
Not for me.
It
I
was
had
an
to stop
epic story, but yes, I get it.
I
Yeah.
stopped. Well, I don't want to spoil. I mean, at this point, maybe not a spoil, but I was like, I stopped watching very early on. But yeah, since there are a lot of entities on Earth, I think I feel like personally I deal a lot with spirits, so that's my experience. But I also just haven't had a lot of experiences with anything physical.
Physical?
Yeah, like shapeshifters or vampires or
Oh,
anything
yeah.
like that.
I don't want to.
I think
Yeah, I'm
it
all
would
set.
be like I think
I don't
that
wanna.
kind of back to an earlier like comment we made is I just don't think we're equipped, honestly. I mean, like, maybe some of us. If I found out vampires were real, I'd probably at this point just be like, okay, cool, like what else? But humanity as a whole, I just don't think is ready to like
No,
accept that.
no. I mean, it's taken me a long time to get comfortable with ghosts,
Yeah,
honestly.
well, I mean, humanity as
I'm
a whole
still not
can't even
comfortable
come
with
to terms
ghosts.
with ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't, most people can't see those. So
I
to
always
imagine
thought I would
something like
be-
right in front of them, they'll just be like, nope.
Yeah, no.
I feel them. I feel them, and I'll just be like this. Do not show yourself to me. Do not.
Oh, I'm just like, let's go.
don't-
Come here.
Like, I don't want to see you. Please go away.
Just not when I'm sleeping.
I always thought that I would be excited to see an alien or a UFO. And then so again in my 20s, I was taking a road trip from Florida to New York, which is like 24 hours. And I wanted to get back for a 4th of July party. So I was like taking all these no-dos and I was driving up the throughway and it was going south to north, and up ahead, the horizon was all lit up, like all lit up. And I was like, what is going on up there? Is it like the sun rising or something? And I'm like, no, it's 3 o'clock. I'm like, am I going east? I'm like, no, I'm going north. How is this? And then I finally got to the spot where it was all lit up. And I looked up and there was these like lights, these circular lights in a circle. And it was they were above the meridian, right? So you had the one highway going this way and then the other highway going this way, and then the middle was like a forest, and there was these lights, and there was 6 of them, 6 of these giant like ships, they looked like, made out of circular lights. And I started freaking out, like screaming, like, holy shit. like totally lost it. And like it was like by the 5th or 6th one, I finally saw the pole. They were street lights.
Oh,
But I got like that's how I would react apparently if I saw a UFO. I would lose it.
I would definitely be curious. I would
They
get
were
out
right
and be
over
like-
me.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, what's up?
I thought for sure I was going up. They were right over the car practically. I'm like, oh my God.
Car and everything going up. Well,
Yeah.
this has been a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lana, I definitely think share some of both of you share some of your resources, and I'll put together like a resource list. You can share
Yeah.
it out to everyone.
Something I really like is the Ascension Glossary, ascensionglossary.com. And also these books, Voyagers 1 and Voyagers 2. Voyagers 1 and 2 were written by Ashayana Deanne, and I have muscle tested those books for accuracy multiple times and cross tested with like other people. And we've gotten that those books are somewhere around 97, 98% true.
Interesting.
And yeah, so Voyagers 1 is called The Sleeping Abductees. And she talks a lot about the alien agenda. And she even has like drawings of different aliens. Voyagers 2 is like, takes a very hard left turn and really goes into sort of the history of humankind and where we're going. And these were written in the 90s. And so some of the things that she like talks about being in the future are like it's not even, it didn't happen, or some of them kind of
Right.
did, or what, whatever. But I've also found that whenever I recommend those books to people, they try to read them and they always fall asleep. So
Interesting.
but that's maybe we're in new times, and maybe there's like 1 or 2 people out there that actually will be able to read them without falling asleep. And you'll have to find them. I mean, I think last I checked, there was not any physical, although I think they've printed a new edition, so they do have physical copies out there in the world again.
Cool.
So yeah. But they're like they're really thick books. I think Voyagers 2 is like 600 pages.
Dang.
There's some pretty gnarly. They're like a Bible, but they're also like a Bible with like science in them. So
So not like the Bible.
well, they're like a Bible, like
Right,
a
right,
Bible,
right.
like it's like a history. It's like a spiritual history mixed with a lot of what is called Keylontic science, and so Yeah, they're awesome and gnarly, and I don't know if I would start there, but that's certainly an interesting place to endeavor.
Said if the non-trans want to come find me, they can just bring it. Yeah, that's where I'm like, look, if I'm out in the middle of the night and I just see the lights and this is what's happening, what am I gonna do? Fight
Well,
an alien?
and they might be the nice aliens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good point. Like, if there's like, because like even when we talk about like entities in general, like we've come on here and talked about how like there are entities that are here to help, and there are entities that just do not care, and they might even actually want to actively harm you. I imagine the same would be true of aliens in general.
Yeah.
Because most of the alien stories, I've heard, and it's always been on like horror podcasts, and like Halloween comes around, so people are talking about alien abductions. It's always been, I got abducted. The aliens were doing like medical tests on me. They were probing me. And then when people come back, they have all these health problems and all this kind of stuff because they were basically just being examined on as test subjects. Which I mean is possible. If there's good aliens, there's probably also bad aliens.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But I think the difference is that the good aliens respect your free will.
Yeah.
So they probably won't try to abduct you or harm you without your knowledge or permission.
Yeah, they'll be like,
Consent.
hey,
Yeah.
check out my cool UFO. You want to go up in it?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
They would
You know, there's
probably-
a great movie called Time Trap. Have you guys seen that? Time Trap? I think it's on Netflix. But essentially, I'm not even going to tell you about it. Not even going to tell you about it because it's really good. It's worth a watch.
Is it from
Time.
the 80s?
No, it's recent actually.
Oh,
Yeah, it's recent. It's these people, they go into a cave and the time works differently in the cave. And by the time they
Oh.
get out, the whole world has changed.
The big concept with like the Fae too is like if you find yourself in like a Fae dimension, time works differently.
Yes.
And you come back and like everyone you know is like passed on, and it's like 100
and you've only
years
been gone for
later.
like a day, right?
Yeah, and you're still the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. Time Trap.
Well, I mean, what would we say some good parting words to wrap up this discussion on aliens would be? How do you even wrap that conversation up?
Well, for me, I would say that if you do want to get in touch with the benevolent aliens, that you have to ask them. So you could start by, like, before you go to bed, maybe like saying a little thing: benevolent aliens who mean me no harm, I wish to be connected with you in a safe and I don't know, in a safe manner, in a way that is not shocking to my system. And I give you permission to contact me.
Like, don't freak me out,
Interesting.
please.
Don't
Yeah,
freak
I
me
think-
out.
I think that's like really, I'm remembering now a friend that was like telling me, she was talking about how when she realized she was a starseed and she had gotten these, like, there were these beings. I don't remember if they came in her dreams or if they were standing at the foot of her bed. It was something like that.
Ooh.
And that she freaked out.
Yeah.
And they didn't come back. And I was like, well, yeah, because they were coming to say hi to you and you freaked out.
Like, yeah.
And they were
I
like, oh,
mean-
too soon.
I would have freaked out too.
So make sure you just specify, don't stand at the foot of my bed.
Like, give me some hints in my dreams or something first, or
Yeah.
like some signs.
Yeah. Let's meet up at a coffee shop or something. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to do a lot more reading on this topic. I think out of all the topics we've talked about so far, this is the one that I have the least knowledge about, but it is very interesting. So I've got the Ascension glossary up.
Oh yeah, okay. That can be I do have to warn you, there is a lot of what could be considered like negative and scary stuff on there.
Oh, I'm for
Um,
it.
Okay, yeah, you could get in rabbit holes for like literal days. I will have literally like 15 tabs open in like one thing, and I'm
Yeah.
like flipping through them, and I'm like, okay, but now I gotta go read about the like Christos races of France, and then I'm
Yep.
like, okay, the Stargate in France, okay, now and then we gotta go. Oh wait, hold on, what was happening with the like galactic wars? You know, like I'll yeah.
The Galactic
The
Wars.
Galactic Wars. I
Yeah,
love that.
that's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the ancient scriptures. Especially the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, very interesting. You know, I went to Egypt in 2019, and I had a really profound experience there, both good and bad. But like my heart my heart hurt so bad to see like the majesty, right, of what Egypt was compared to what Egypt is now. And it was one of these things like I couldn't comprehend, like what could have happened to take it from this incredible place of pristine beauty and whatever was going on there, and amazing technology, to the extreme poverty and desperation that I saw there.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't want to say anything much about it, but the Galactic Wars came into mind. Like it had to have been something like that. Not necessarily, but that was the only thing I could think of at the time.
Yeah, something like hugely devastating that was kind of
That could
beyond the
take that out. Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about aliens either, but I dig them. I like alien movies. They're on top of my list. I'm
I
always
just
looking
like
for a
the
good
cute
alien
little
movies.
like green alien guy. You know, like your typical like desert green alien. I don't know. That's really cute.
There's a show out there called Resident Alien. Have you guys seen that
I've
one?
heard. I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I've
it
heard of
is
it.
hilarious.
It's fun.
We love it. We laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun comedy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of murder, but like it's
Oh,
a
there's
tiny
always
bit.
a little bit of murder, I guess.
There has to be just to create drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're pretty much on time, but this has been fun.
It has
So
been
if
fun.
you're new in chat here, this is Cosmic Coffee Chats. I stream it to my channel here. We do these every 2 weeks. So our next episode will be on let me pull my calendar up. It's August 28th. So our next episode will be on September 11th. And we start these at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I don't think we have a topic picked out for next time, but
It'll be a good one.
it'll be a good one. We talk about a variety of like witchy topics. Like we've done like spells and protection and magic and all that kind of stuff. But before I go, I'm gonna grab the link to the Cosmic Coffee Chats Discord. If Discord is your thing, you can pop in. I've been building this community for a while, so if you like witchy topics, horror, if you want to talk more about aliens, maybe I'll create an alien channel, and all that fun stuff. So,
Do they have any suggestions, those that are listening, any suggestions of topics they'd like us to talk about next time?
feel free to post them in the chat here now, or that you can let me know in the Discord and I can share it out with everyone.
Rune.
Yeah.
Is your Discord just called Lore Witch Rune?
It's called Cosmic Coffee Chats.
Oh, I was thinking about yours personally, but okay, yes.
Yeah. This is the only server I have.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we're going to get a second. Let me get the link for you guys. Something with these dogs. They got a piece of paper, but yeah, here's the link to the Discord. I'd love to have you in there. We talk about all kinds of things. Pretty soon, I want to start doing like witchy Discord nights. So things like the full moon, the new moon, we'll get in together and we'll do some fun things. So
That sounds fun.
yeah, I love it. But yeah, that's our topic on aliens. And now if each of the hosts kind of just want to give their goodbyes, anything that's coming up that you guys want to share. Let's see. For me, it's my birthday on Sunday, so I'm going to be doing birthday festivities. And then I'm
Happy
getting
birthday!
Thank you. And then I'm getting a tattoo next week. Other than that, I don't have any like big content events coming up. So, Lana,
What?
Zara, what about you guys?
I wanted to ask you how your ghost hunt was.
Oh, at the Clown Motel?
Yeah,
Not haunted.
not haunted,
Not
nothing.
haunted. We tried. And so there is a graveyard attached to this motel, by the way. And if I'm sitting in the middle of a graveyard at 1:30 a.m. and I don't feel anything, it's not haunted.
Wow.
I do local graveyard cleanings at a local graveyard here, and that activity in that graveyard is just like constant. So for me to like go to a graveyard and just have nothing, no, there's no
What do
way.
you consider activity at that graveyard?
My psychic sense is kind of what we were talking about earlier, how like you kind of have like thoughts in your head that you know aren't yours. It's like that. It's like a movie playing in my head, but I don't see any images. I just have thoughts, and it's constant. And I also have a stop, Luna. I also have a spot on my back, like right in between my shoulder blades. Like it's really, really warm, and almost kind of like, I don't know. It feels like very tense, like I'm like tensing up. That's also usually a sign that something's there, something's trying to get my attention.
Interesting.
My psychic
Cool.
senses are just hella tingling when I go into graveyards. Except the one at the Clown Motel.
What a bummer.
I know. I was really excited for it.
Mm.
But yeah, what about you guys?
I was sharing earlier about the Radiant Soul series that's coming up starting in September 10th. So it's a master class starting September 10th. And you can find it on my website, zarastarchild.com. It
Let
is
me
a
get a
free
link to
master
it.
class. And we're going to start with empathic empowerment. So if you're an empath out there, if you feel other people's energy in your body, free 3 days, join us we're going to do like activations, empowerments, and also discussions about how to shift consciousness and mindsets and that sort of thing. So it'll be fun.
Did
Yeah,
you build your
that's
website? It's cute.
I did. Yeah, thanks.
What did you use?
Wix.
Looks beautiful.
Thanks.
Lana?
Lana, what's going on with you? You got any offerings coming up?
Yeah, well, so I'm moving my Magic Keys program to my energymagiclove.com website, and I'm making it just completely open. So there doesn't have to be, I mean, it would be nice if people donated to me. But it's just I'm going to make it all there and available, and I do every other week. Sometimes my schedule doesn't allow for it, but every other Sunday we do support groups. And the Magic Keys to Freedom program is about, it's really focused on helping people get out of toxic patterns such as like substance abuse, unhealthy relationships, addictions, things like that, but it's not limited to that. And I believe that any person who wants their life to be better can benefit from the tools.
Nice.
And they're all just, and so I'm moving it from being like kind of in a private space to just being out there, and that where anyone can come in and access the tools and access the like there's group healing videos, which it's like they're kind of like guided meditation healing things, and so they're really fun and awesome. And then there's interviews with other healers and yeah, and everyone is welcome to come to the support group meetings, whether or not you have any kind of substance abuse issues. You're a human on earth, and so you've got problems. So come and come and get some support.
Lana, is that energymagiclove.com?
Yeah, it's energymagiclove.com.
Hey, I'm posting the links in chat.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll post them in Discord too as well. So yeah, and then other than that, I'll be streaming on Thursday. So we do tarot nights on Thursday. So if you want to come in and get a tarot reading, Thursday night is the night to do that. And then maybe streaming on Sunday, but not 100% sure. And that'll be here on this channel that I'll be streaming from. And then if you are a horror fan, on Tuesdays we do spooky games always.
Are you talking about your Twitch now? Or
Yep.
are you still okay?
Yeah.
So, and how do people find you on Twitch? If they're like watching my Facebook Live, for example.
It's twitch.tv/lorewitchrune.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well,
Awesome.
thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.